I think the Red Wings is the order of the day because people are passionate about this right now, and I can already tell how this is gonna go down. I can already tell. I want to have the discussion. Like it's time to check in.
Yeah, we had the wake on the morning show, so this is the actual eulogy. We just go ahead and knock it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do it, Pa. Like it's over. Stick. I know are you hanging on?
No.
Okay, good.
I mean, it's been over for months, in my opinion.
But it would officially ended yesterday.
Yeah, and that was kind of a microcosm of everything that the Red Wings are, right? They try hard early and just not enough to get it done in the end, and that's what last season was. That's what this season is. We're in this perpetual, we're going to grow, we're going to get there one day, but it's really not happening right before our eyes. And I know everybody wants to be patient. I know Steve Yzerman is goated around here, but if you can drive Joe Dumars out of town, I know D-Mac's not here to defend his boy, and I would say this in front of D-Mac, like it's time. Next year's time, or time's up. There is no more, we're almost to the playoffs. We can almost get there. And I know at the beginning of the season, that's what Yzerman said, like, hey, if we get to the playoffs, maybe with this team. But that's on you. Like, the reason the maybe is still there is because you haven't brought in the right players. You haven't drafted the right players. You haven't cultivated the young talent to become better at this level. And I'm not the biggest hockey fan in the world, but it's crazy to me that in our group text, we're getting – I never would have thought the Red Wings would be the lowest of the big four in Detroit in my life. Like they used to have such a high standard. They used to be the gold standard. They were the Yankees. They were the current Dodgers. And this fall from grace and staying outside the party so long is embarrassing.
Spenny, I wanted to get your take on it, man, because where do you sit with Steve Yzerman right now?
I mean, I'm not out on Steve Yzerman. I still love what he's building and love what he has brought. This year, I put directly on Steve Yzerman, though. The failure that the Red Wings had this year to improve from what they were last year, the failure of the Red Wings this year to not make the playoffs, because that is a failure that they did not make. They were right at the door last year, and everybody liked how that season ended and how they were going. This year, they should have made the playoffs. I think it's a failure on Yzerman, for one, not moving on from Lalonde earlier, and two, not bringing in impact free agents to put you in the playoffs. Like, I know you're not going to, dump your whole load to bring in one guy just to make the playoffs like Ken Holland did with guys like Alfredson and Modano and Franz Nielsen and stuff like that. You're not going to do those moves to mortgage your future. But instead of signing Gustafsson and Tarasenko, you could have signed actual free agents who actually do something.
Spenny, you were on board. The Tarasenko thing.
I was. But
we were all on board.
I was. But objectively, it is a terrible signing. And that's where we are now. And he needed to be something better than that. And so that's on Steve Yzerman not getting – because you were a couple free agents, the impact free agents this year, away from making the playoffs. And – there's the whole thing that Terry put out there, that Terry said about him wanting Stamkos and him being handcuffed to Stamkos, and that would have made a huge difference. Stamkos, I believe, is around 26, 27 goals this year. If you had Stamkos and Trouba instead of Gustafsson and Tarasenko, you probably make the playoffs this year. But I put that on Steve Yzerman. I'm not giving up on him. I love what he's doing with the farm system. I love the pieces. All of his draft picks that have been coming up are working. But it is on him this year. The failure is on him because he did not provide this team with enough solid veterans to make the playoffs. And they took a step back. And this is the first time they have. And right now, they're at the hump of a borderline playoff team. What is Steve Yzerman going to do to get this team over that hump?
Woodward Sports chat thread. By the way, pipe in with that. Let me know what you have on it. One Funky Lions fan. Year 6 in a 5-year rebuild. Yzer Plan 1919 is going great. Look,
real quick, Neil, sorry.
Yeah.
RM Dole in the Woodward Sports chat says Stamkos and Trouba are washed, and Gustafsson and Tarasenko are ass. Those guys would have been better. Those guys probably would have made the playoffs as you signed them. I'm not saying they're the savior and they're going to bring you a cup, but they're better than Tarasenko and Gustafsson. That's a low fucking bar to put. You're the Detroit Red Wings. You should be getting impact free agents.
I mean, how much time does Yzerman get? Like, I know, Neil, he had to come here. He had to restructure.
He showed up -2. -2 years.
Okay,
Yep.
so what would have been the years you would have given him without the -2? Like 4 years to rebuild? So you're at +6, so you're right here now, right?
He's
So it's right here, right now. Even in your
correct. Yeah,
giving him
absolutely.
a bonus 2 years.
Absolutely.
Which, whatever. I mean, that's.
Well, I put the salary table out there.
I get it,
like,
but you take the job, right? He took the job.
Correct.
Not like, hey, give me 2 years to get us to even.
No, but you can't dismiss that. You can't. Like,
you can't. But
no
now
one
that
can
we're 6
save
years
that.
in, that's no longer the excuse, right? Your players are in the system.
Yeah, but
this is
but
4
again,
years in, if
okay,
I minus
so
your 2 years.
we're gonna go back to this though, which is fine, and I understand that.
But how long do you kick that can down the road then?
But Stick, here's what I would say: if you want to be critical of the free agent stuff, that's fine. But we all love Tarasenko. We had a party on this show.
Yeah, we thought it was
This
a good
whole
sign.
network had a party.
But
the chat had a party.
Doesn't matter. He's Steve Yzerman. He needs to be better. He knows
Fair.
more about hockey than us.
Fair. I'll give you that. But there was not one dissenter of that.
No.
We got to keep it 100.
No, there was
absolutely.
not.
Yeah,
There was
because I like,
also because it was so late in the game and no move had been made, so seeing a name and a body come in here, you were happy with.
it goes back to me with, and here's what I'll say. The Yzerman stuff, and I'll give you the Yzerman stuff too. But at what point do we look at Dylan Larkin or one of the players? At what point for real? What point do we do this? Because here, can we do this? Can we do this on the chat poll, Spenny? Who's a better player, Nick Suzuki or Dylan Larkin?
This should be 80-10, and it's going to be 80-10 the other way.
Because I just want to see where the public sentiment's at. Who's a better player? And I don't want to spike the Kool-Aid or anything like that. It's just for me because after 4 Nations, it was non-existent, and
Yes.
he's the captain.
He's
He's the leader, right?
Yes.
If you look at I'm using the Canadians. I'm using the Canadians because of
They're in the same path as us.
they're right there.
Yeah.
Because the two teams are right there, kind of neck and neck, right? But there's a 6-point difference, whatever it is, which is pretty much even. If you look at it too, and it will go back to this, and this isn't going to make people comfortable, and I know why, because you have to look in the mirror. That's like the Tarasenko thing, where we have to look in the mirror and say, we love that. Like, we were wrong about that. Cole Caulfield, by the way, who is busted out, had a 36, pushing a 40-goal season, right? 2019 first-round draft pick. Kind of has improved every year. Here he is. You see what I'm saying here, Stick?
So that's 6 years it took him to develop. Is that what you're saying?
That's what, yeah.
That's about the time
That's
frame.
about the time frame.
He was drafted the same year Mo Seider was. Mo Seider's another one.
Mo Seider got forced into it early. Remember, the Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond kind of got forced into starting their
Correct.
rookie years because of the injuries that the Red Wings were dealing with. And you absolutely can put something on Larkin and Raymond. They fell apart. Like, Lucas Raymond was on pace to being a top 10 wing in the NHL until the 4 Nations, and then he fell off a cliff. As did Dylan Larkin. You cannot have that out of your upper echelon guys. Those are supposed to be the 2 best players. Alex DeBrincat has been the best player on this team all season. It hasn't been close.
Yep. And how'd he get here?
Yeah, Steve Yzerman traded for him.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. At what point do we ask the question? And I'm not saying. And you know what else the Canadians did to kind of spur this along? Number one, the Canadians were nowhere near what the Red Wings. They had a 106-point season or whatever it was, or what was it, 98-point season like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and missed the playoffs. They've been to the playoffs a couple times.
And
It's
those-
not the same.
Those are all great points. But let's go just to the coach, right? You knew last year he wasn't the guy to get it done. We all saw it. He didn't get it done with that team. He couldn't push them across the finish line. Everybody knew it was going to be the same old story coming into this year. You wait till mid-season to change them. Then all of a sudden you see a burst out of your team. That's on upper management. I don't care about salary cap. I care about acknowledging what the problem is and addressing it immediately. He waited too long for the coaching change, and then they finally got their shit together and started playing fucking hockey, which was the great thing when he took over. Imagine if they would have done that all season long, but you can't do it if your upper management's just like, hey, I know this coach is on the hot seat. Let's roll into next season with them anyways. What message does that send to the locker room? How does that motivate the players? Because we could talk all about salary cap. We could talk about where they were drafted, how long it's going to take them. You saw a difference in this team when they let go of their coach. You did. So to me,
But then I saw a regression to right back where they were.
yeah, that's over time, right? But immediately you knew that there needed to be a message change in that locker room, and you knew it last year. Maybe this wasn't the right guy because you're mid-season. You can't go hand pluck the coach you want. You got to make some crazy adjustment mid-season. But that's why if you don't go into a season with a plan, and your plan is, I got a lame duck coach I may fire, your season's going to suck. When has that ever been successful?
Woodward Sports chat thread poll right now. Who's a better player? Nick Suzuki, 54%. Dylan Larkin, 46%. Just a fan. Yzerman is the GM. It's now on him, not anybody else. Flair versus Savage. Raymond is average. What's that?
No, it's just the name.
I mean, right now Lucas Raymond is average. We needed him to take a step to being a superstar this year, and he was on pace to in the first half of the season. He fell off a cliff. And it's flat out. Him and Larkin. They need to be better. And they'll tell you that. They know that. The back end, the secondary scoring, stuff like that definitely doesn't help. But you need your big dogs to be big dogs because the team isn't all around good enough for them to be average. They need to be your stars, and they weren't in the second half.
But here's my problem with Yzerman doesn't get a lot of heat. He gets all the leash in the world. A guy like Kyle Zwed, or however you say his last name. This is like saying that the Lions should fire Brad Holmes. Stevie is doing all the same things Brad is doing. Well, except winning.
Well,
except getting to the playoffs.
Okay,
except establishing through the draft you have all pros. Like, what are we doing? Like, the fact that you're even mentioning those two in the same sentence just shows me that the Yzerman Cope 6 years in isn't even close. How many years has Brad Holmes been in charge of the Lions?
It's
4?
not. That's apples to oranges, though, Stick.
It isn't when we're talking about winning.
Your draft picks show up and play.
You can't.
Panay Sewell walked in the door and was one of the best linemen in the game.
Yeah,
Minute
you can't
one.
just
He was
keep
touted
saying,
as
"Oh,
that.
well, okay, we'll just keep kicking the can down the road and we'll."
But
judge
that's
in
the way it works with
12
this,
years,
Stick.
14. How long is enough then?
I don't know the exact answer to that. Like what year is enough? I would say that yes, this is the first year there was point regression. I would say like season wise, it's pretty much the same season as last year. Like it came down to the end.
And when has Brad Holmes had a repeated season? When has Brad Holmes had regression?
You'll probably see a repeated season this year, right?
Well, I mean, it's going to be tough to match 15-2. Yes.
You'll have regression this year by. I would say last year was regression because it matters more in the playoffs.
Yeah, the playoffs.
You can make that argument, right? But they got to the playoffs with the number one overall seed.